just me and my guitar.
Hey, what's happening guys? Mark back here from Mark's Aquatics. My next door neighbour was going to chuck this out, and he came over and he said, I know you're into all your aquarium stuff, make me something out of this. And what it is, it's one of these water dispensers. You can buy them in all the shops. You know the score. Lift the lid, lift the handle up, water comes out, close it off. It's about 8 litres in total. Next to my arm, it's a fairly big jar. But he said, make me something out of that. So I've been thinking about things, and I think what I'm going to try and create here is a nice little table, like a lamp. I'm going to make a lamp out of it, but an aquarium lamp. I'm not going to have it completely clear like this. It's got a seam down the middle. Now these aren't the clearest of jars. They've got slight imperfections in them, you know, if you put your hand behind. But when things actually come up to the front, they're quite clear. But when they go around the back, obviously they get a little bit distorted, like the old-fashioned fish bowls used to be. So what the plan is, guys, we've got that now for the water changes there. That's that bit there. That's going to go at the back, obviously. So from that line there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a seam running right the way down there like that. Goes both sides, where the two halves were probably melted and moulded together to make these jars. They're quite thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually spray paint the back of this black, leave that chrome because that will look nice. We'll mask it all off so it looks nice, and then we'll have a matte black background, clear front. That can be at the back, and then we'll make some kind of funky lid for the top, some little lampshade thing with a light to light it up in the evening. Right, now I'm going to get to it. I think first things first, we'll get some masking tape, good old masking tape like that. Put that up in the air, make sure we get that out of the way. In fact, what I'll do, I'll go one better than that. Because there's a hole already through it, these are quite easy. If you put your hand inside like that, there's a nut inside. Take that off, pull that out, okay, and then we've got a little rubber grommet there. If you squeeze them and push in the inside, they'll pop out very easily like that. Okay, there's your seal. Be careful with that, because you don't want to mess that up, otherwise you'll be leaking. So now what we've got is a hole. You can see where the factory's drilled the hole through there. Just got to dry that off. Now what we can do is we can tape all that up now. We'll mask it off all the way around. And once that's done then, we'll mask off the front here, leaving the back ready for spray. So it's a pretty straightforward thing to do. Stop it from rolling away a minute. So we get our masking tape. When it wants to play the game and not... Do you find when you get masking tape it always does this? Drives me up the wall, it does. So now we've got to tear it sideways and waist low. Oh look, now it's tearing the other side now. I'll get back to you when this is working right. Right, that's better. My God, that took me forever to do that. Stick it straight down that line there, on that separating line. And what I'll do now is I'll finish off the rest and I'll get back to you, alright? Right, there we go guys, we got it all masked up. What I've done is I've taken the top off. I've run the masking tape right to the top of there, okay? And now we'll spray all that black, but then the rubber, because it's plastic coated paint that I'm using, like I used quite a while back on those ball tanks. Remember I sprayed the back of those with this plasti dip stuff, which is brilliant because when you finish with it you can just tear it off and it's like new again underneath. So we're going to be using that in matte black. So that now is all protected, the front is all protected, and I've done the lid as well, so we can screw that lid back on there now to stop anything going on the threads. on that side. I've filled up that little hole with a tiny little bit of tape. Don't worry about that too much, because that rubber grommet will cover all the way around there and seal it again. And now we're nice, so we just got to give it a bit of a clean up now. Make sure we've got all that rubbish off. I did clean this a little bit before. And with the plastic dip, you've got to put it on very finely and build up your coats, okay? You don't go mad with the first coat. You can also warm this up, which I'm going to do, because I've got a hairdryer in the workshop here, which I stole off the wife. And I always find if you put the hairdryer on it first, warm the jar slightly, then spray it, you'll get away with the more coats quickly, and it'll cure it off a lot quicker. Otherwise you're going to have to wait a bit longer. And I'll try and keep this video so it's not about 6 months long for you. I've got my hairdryer around here somewhere. Not that I need a hairdryer, because I'm as bald as a coot. Those were the days. Those were the days. Right, I'll plug the old hairdryer in. Just go over it, warm it up like that first, okay? That's just a quick demo. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wind things up a bit on the speed, and then we'll just give this a few coats of spray, and it'll build up, and then we'll come back when it's finished. All right, guys? Okay, guys, what I will say is, when you do spraying, I'm obviously not spraying in the shed, because I've got the koi in there and I can't do any kind of spraying whatsoever for obvious reasons. And so I've taken it outside. I've rigged up this old curtain that I've got on a bench, and I'm going to spray it outside in the air. If you've got a respirator, wear one, and make sure you look after your health. All right, guys? Nicely sprayed now. It's still a little bit tacky. You don't want to leave it for too long. Take that piece of that out as well. Now what we can do is put that little plastic grommet back in there. There you go. Now that's sealed back in the hole there now. What I'll do when that's dry, I could have done it later on, but you can just run a Stanley knife down there very, very finely, only a couple of mil, and it'll just tear it off nice and clean afterwards. I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to do that a bit later on when it's dry. And same again, put your bit of glass across there, or a straight edge, whatever you got. Pour that across there. Obviously the little bit at the end you're going to have to just freehand that slightly. And there you go, nice straight line, a little bit on the bottom there. If you do get any overspray with this stuff, guys, you see you've got a cracking straight line there now. Because it's rubber, if you do get any on there, if you don't mask it up at all, just get a dry cloth, rub it, and it will just literally just roll off. As easy as that. Right, so now we got that on the back. Now we can push our little tap back through there, hand inside, and wind up that nut, and make sure you compress it, not over tight, but just enough to get it back. And that's done. So now we have a black side and a clear side. And we'll take the stuff off the lid too, making sure that's all So I always find with this stuff, the quicker you take it off, the better really, with the masking. I find with this tape as well, if you leave this tape on, masking tape on for a long time, it really sticks the longer you leave it. So I tend to take it off as soon as I can, just to be on the safe side. Of the ends up with residue from the glue all over it otherwise, which we don't need. And now we've got a nice shining lid. We've got nothing on the threads. And that now we'll just screw back on there. And look quite dandy, look at that. That looks quite good so far. And we haven't even started doing the tank yet. We're just literally getting the backing ready. Well, that's it so far. Okay, this is the filter media that I'm going to use. I've got three types. I've got the fine one, which is the green one, the blue one, which is the intermediate, and this one's quite a coarse one. Because it's black, it's going to look better in the background because it's not going to show up at all in there. So what I've done is I've cut some squares like that, okay, and I've stuck them together with a bit of hot glue, just a very few strands. Once it sticks in amongst that, it really grips well. And what I've made is I've made like a little ball, you see. Now you push that out. Then if you saw last time, I made that cutter. I'll push through there like that, and then we can pull that core out, which gives us the hole through there. Now what I've done here, I had a sneaky little idea. When I you know, if you look inside the jar, you can see that the nut in there protrudes a little bit. The bolt that comes through from the tap protrudes through. So I'm just going to get you out of frame a minute. So I can explain better. Now if you look back in there now that now fits onto that tap at the back. I've got the hole at the top where the draw tube's going to be for the airline to go in. Now when we want to clean this filter out, all we've got to do is put something underneath it, tilt that up, go inside, give that a few little pumps like that, and it'll chuck all that rubbishy water straight out into a bucket and out. Lock it back down again, that's sealed again, and that job is done. How about that? So we've got a self little cleaning system there. And as you can see, the black filter's in the back there. So once we get a bit of media in and put it up the back and put our plants in, might put a bit of wood in this one, not sure yet. We've got to make this lift tube now. Well, I've cut a piece of bamboo like the last one, okay, but don't forget to leave, I don't know if I mentioned this on the other video, but if I didn't, make sure you don't cut it off so the holes at each end. As you know, bamboo has got knots, sorry about that, it's got the knots there. Now they're sealed, as you can see. You cut either side of that and you're going to get a solid lump like that. So now what we do is we drill a series of holes all the way around here like we did on the last one, and then we can poke that down through onto the bottom, airline hole in there, airline tube going through, and then the air running in and raising up and bubbling out will draw the water up and through the filter and create that action that we need for filtration. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm just going to push the drill bit in there, because don't forget these, inside these there's like a very fine sort of it's like a foam. It's strange stuff, but if you put a drill bit in there, spin it around, wiggle it backwards and forwards like that, give it a bit of pressure in there, and that will bang it out. But obviously don't go through the base, you want to just leave it on there, right? And all that inside core will come out and you end up with a nice sounding tube. Okay, now what we need to do is get our little filter back out. push him on there. So now that is on there like that, with that hole in the back. And I say, as we push that now, as we squeeze that with that tap open, it's going to suck all that back through and out that tube and clean itself. Or squeeze it up and down. Obviously it's only a small jar, but now what I've got to do is, if you mark it with your thumb there, pull that back off, come down a couple of mil, I'd say to about there, and then mark it with something. I've got a very small drill bit there. I just put a little nick in there like that, so I know where I'm going. And I'm going to drill out some very small holes now all over it, like we did on the last one as well. And then we can put that little stepping bit back in. I'll shift that out of the way a minute, so you can see a bit easier. But now we want, that's where our holes are there. You can go right through, and I stick them about 1 centimetre apart. And now twist it over, and now go through on that angle and go right through again. And there we go, we've got our little holes there, okay, going all the way around. Now we'll get that stepping bit in, which I've got as well. Somewhere it is, around here. There it is. And now we want to do like last time, we want to go in just the first hole. And don't push hard, just let this cut its way in, you've got a nice smooth hole then, alright? Because it's a different shaped drill bit on these, they've got like cutting edges on, because they keep cutting as they're going up. It's just not on the end, so you get a nicer hole that way. And that will do that. Now we've got our bigger holes. Now we've just got to shine it up with a bit of sandpaper and get all those rough bits off. And there you go. Okay, and now we go back in, we can put that back in there now, and that'll go to there nicely now, so that water's going to get drawn up through there. So now that's our little filter. Now we've got to drill a little hole in the side. And we got one of these, little 90 degrees again, see? And as I said before, if it don't fit, just circle that little drill bit in there a little bit, and it'll take a little fraction off at a time. But you want a good tight fit on this, because you don't want bubbles coming out of here. And also, like on the last video as well, I told you, don't make sure that doesn't go all the way in, otherwise you're going to block the hole up. You only want it to go in through the width that is there, okay? Just in the wall of it there. And that is in there nice and tight now. And I've got a hot glue gun, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out again. When you do take it out, put your thumb on it and see, that's how far it went through. And that's exactly where I wanted it there. So if you just put a little bit of glue on the don't put it near the end, and just run that around there like that. And then really put that back in where it's supposed to be, and then let it go off. Okay, and that's that done. So now we have a filter. And you can see you can put that down the back there like that, so the tube goes down the back, and that'll come out, and then we're going to create the lid now. So now we have a filter which will bubble away and draw that water in. Right, so the next plan of action is clear this workshop bench up a bit, because I've got stuff everywhere and I'll lose bits in a minute. Alright guys, what I've done there is I've put the bamboo through there, but with the sucker just on there, it wasn't really far enough, it was sticking a bit far back. So I've cut a piece of bamboo, hot glue gun that to there, drilled that out slightly, put some hot glue into there, and put the sucker in there. So now that's nice, and we've made ourselves like a nice little stand now. It's going to keep away from the wall. Okay, now we can fit that back over there, and then suck that in place. And then, as you can see, that filter now is nicely stuck in there with that nice little lift tube on there now, and that's all finished off in there. So we've got a black background, we've got our filter now. So when we put our hands inside like that, give that a couple of pumps like that, when that tap's open, and all that rubbish then will go straight out, and that's all your waste drainage there. Snap that back on, dust everywhere really, and we'll put some media in the bottom, and we'll see how it looks. All right, we'll get on with the lid now, guys. I'll just clean up and then we'll be back. All right, guys, what I've done is these lids actually come apart. You've got the metal piece, and you've got that bit then that slides into there. See? So what I'm going to put some lights inside this. Okay. Now I've got this old light here, which I had on one of my, it was in my big marine tank actually. It was in the sump for growing cheetah morpha weed to stop my phosphates and stuff, but that's not being used anymore, and there's no way I can clip that on top of there, if you see, because it's miles away from actually shining on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that apart, and I'm going to fit all that in the lid. So I'll get back to you when I've stripped this little lamp down. It's only 4 little screws there, which will take the front off, and I want to get that small little LED panel out of there and the wiring through, and then we can thread the wiring through and we can stick that little LED panel up inside. Okay, so I'll get back to you when I've stripped that down. Right guys, I've got the front off. I thought I'd just take you through it while I'm doing. The LED lights fit in little sockets you see inside there, and it's got a rubber gasket around there. So now we can take that panel out and that gasket, because we'll keep all that, because we can hot glue gun all this into the surface of the lid, and then we'll give us a nice watertight air seal, and stop any damp getting in there. Okay, so we'll take this apart a bit further. We'll get down to just the bare board, and I'll get rid of all this holder, and then I'll get back. Okay, right, we've got all that out now. So now all we've got now, look, is the little LEDs to go in there. We've got that little gasket. We've got to keep all the circuitry nice and dry. So that now is going to fit spot on inside the lid, you see, but that won't. So where that gasket fits is around that seal there. So what I've got to do now is I've got to cut that off all the way around there, so we've just got that inner part. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this on my sanding belt, because it's going to be a lot quicker than sawing it, and then I'll get back to you when I've got that inner shape there and we've got rid of all this around here. Okay, alright guys, we've got it all out now. I've cut that piece off, as you can see. All that trim now has gone around there, and we've put that, and we fitted that rubber grommet there, and we've stuck that with some super glue all the way around on there. So that's now stuck on there now. Now I think what I'll do is I'll find another piece of perspex or acrylic. I've found something kicking around here somewhere. And what I want to do is I'm going to stick that some acrylic over the top, so we're going to make another solid lid and glue that to that, so we can keep that moisture out of there completely, because it's going to be inside the lid and we don't want any moisture getting in there and ruining the light. And then we'll fix it inside the lid like that. We'll drill a hole. What I'm going to do is, because it's only a little 12 volt transformed LED light, I'm going to cut the wires there and we're going to drill a hole through there, and I'm going to thread the wires back out, okay, so we can screw the lid back on and keep everything as it should be. And then we're going to stick that in there nice and central, and then I think we'll do maybe 2 or 3 little breather holes each side of there out the lid. Okay, so when we come back, that'll all be done, and I'll just take you through then how I did it instead of showing you, because it takes hours. Let me know if my videos are too long for you guys as well, because sometimes I think that they might be a bit long and you might be getting bored. So if you want me to, if you're happy with them the way they are, drop me a message or give me a thumbs up, and or say shorten them down a bit and I can edit them down a bit more, because I know the last one was a bit long, but I try and keep them quite short for you guys, because I know you all haven't got millions of hours in the day to just sit around watching people make things. So I try and keep it as much as I can on schedule, but and so you obviously so you don't get bored as well. But if you want me to show you more of what I do, let me know, and I can, you know, I can let the videos. I mean, you can always fast forward these things anyway, I know that. Right, I'll get on and I'll come back to you in a minute, okay, when I've done all these little bits here. Alright guys, we're back. We've fixed all that in there. Coffee time. Hit the subscribe button, guys, if you like these little videos. Okay, right, that's what I've done so far. Look, that's in there now. It's been glued in all the way around. I put some ventilation holes in. 3 there, 2 there, 1 there, so we can, our little tank can breathe, which is nice. I ran the wire through there, so now we can screw the top back on. Not all the way, you don't need to screw it on, you just need to go a couple of turns on like that, and that'll do fine. Now what I have done there, like I said guys, with the electrics, I cut it there and rejoined it after threading it through there. This is only a very small transformer light. This is only very low wattage. You're not playing with mains electricity. But what I've done is there, I've joined them. I don't know if you're familiar with these guys, but this little tube that I've got here, okay, is shrinking tube, and I use it on my electrics when I do stuff on my van, on my truck and stuff. You basically, it comes in a flat form like that. You thread your wires through it over a joint if you've got proper connectors, and then you slide that back over your joint, apply some heat, and that shrinks and makes a lovely watertight seal. Very handy to have. So grab some of that in your armoury. Always handy to have, that's what it's called. So there you go, you can pick yourself some. So basically now look, that's the light in there, look. That's all done, wired up in there. So now what we've got to do is have my coffee, I think. Right, what we got to do guys, we've got to bring that across there. You can see the filter and everything's inside. We've made that. I'm going to drill another hole through there for the air line to go in. Right, okay guys, that's the little heater I'm going to use. Only a little 50 watt one I had kicking around. So what we've got to do, you see that these are sealed. The manufacturers seal these on there obviously, so no water can get in there and you don't go up in smoke. So and they're all fused as plugs are. But what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to cut that off there. You can take the fuse out of there and save that if you like. There'll be nothing wrong with that, but you won't be able to put that on anything again. Well, you could do if you cut it back there and give yourself a tail, you could, but I don't really recommend you doing that unless you've got proper joining blocks, and it's better to be safe than sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off of there with my little snippers. There you go. And then we've got to run our knife around there, only very lightly, because you do not want to be cutting the under cable. Just score it and then bend it and you'll find a little crack, and then you can get your thumb in there and give it a pull, and then you can part those two. And then if you're brave enough, you can get your utility knife and just roll that very carefully on the blade like that, and then pull them off as well and twist them up. And the same with that one. Now you got two tails on there. You can twist up, ready to go in the new plug. There you go, like that. So we've got to clean up this little plug. Plug him in. And we can turn that. And then there we go. The light's on. That means we're working. So everything's good. Now we've got to find a little sucker to go there and turn that off again. Unplug that, so now we know that's all safe and working. We can put that up on the bench. So now we've got a light, we've got a heater in, we've got a filter, and it's all looking good. We're getting underway now, so we're nearly finished really. That's nearly everything we've got to do before we do anything else, like plant it up and add media and plants and stones and all the little tank decor that we're going to put in there. Okie dokie, what we've done now. Hey, guess what I did before, guys? I was so keen to show you how to put the plug together, I forgot to drill these two holes to put the wire through, and I had to take the plug off again just now and thread it through and do it again that way. So now you can see we've got the electrics coming. As you can see now, we've got the electrics this side coming in for the light, and then we've also got that power now going to the heater. Okay, that's in there. That last one there is going to be for the airline to go in, so we'll get some airline now, and we'll rig that up as well. Okay, we're going to get the we're going to go in here, get our little filter out, and then we need to put our airline on there. Which can be a little bit fiddly sometimes. But if you persist, it will go on. If you find it difficult, guys, and you can't get this on, just dip it in some boiling water for a couple of seconds, and that will soften it right up. There you go. That's on there now. And now the other end, we can put that in the our little aquarium there now. We can get our other end there, and we can thread that through there, and that'll go to our little air pump. So now we've got, just angle you up a bit now. Right, okay, we've got all our little appliances and things now through there. So we've got our filter in there, we've got our heater in there, air lines through there, and the power's through there now. So now what we can basically do is we just get everything now, pop that in there, put him onto our little waste pipe the other side, push that on, and we can get our heater, stop that on the side there as well, and then slowly pull the cords through to close the lid down. And then we've got everything in there then. Okay guys, we're back and we've got the lid done now, which is under there, with the which is all done. We've got the heater in there, and we've also got the little filter in there. So now what we'll do is, I've got some sand here which I've just pulled from another system of mine. That's cycled sand. We're going to speed things up a bit like we did on the other one. so we don't have to be waiting for ages. The filter that's in there now, as you can see, it's the same shape as the other one. That's actually a cycled filter I've put in there. You can see the water in there. I've just been testing it all out, put that in there, and then what we're going to do is fill it up. So we'll put this sand in first. So we'll just tip the lid back. That just tips back like that, and that should stay there now. And then we can pour this sand in. If you look at the bottom there, I stuck the bamboo out a little bit. Airlift filters are very, very slow draw. They don't suck like a normal pump would. They can be quite aggressive with a high air flow, but when it's a low air flow, the sand's not going to get picked up and lifted up that tube because it's solid at the base, and it won't lift it up high enough to take it through the sponge and into the filter. So you've got no worries about doing that. So now what I'll do is, I'll grab a little spoon and we'll spoon some of this media into the bottom, okay? I'll just spoon some of this in now. One of those little gadgets out of the my aquarium cleaner. Now just remember this, guys, when you're doing this, you've got to make sure you keep your sand below the what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take that filter out of there a minute. Okay, I don't know if you can see there now, but on the bottom there I've got the sand level just below that, because otherwise when you open the tap the other side you'll suck all the media out, and we don't want to be doing that. I think I'll put one of those coconut hides in there with some nice Java fern on it, then we'll fill it up and we'll see what it looks like. Right, we've got some fresh tank water here. We've got the Java in, and we'll just pour this in and let that fill up slow. I do love making these little projects like this. And my daughter comes home from school and she goes, "Hey, that's cool." That makes my day, that does. Now water staying nice and clear as well. I give the sand a good wash through first. As with the coconut hide, got all the detritus off of there, so it's all fresh. Everything's going in there is fresh water. We've got a cycled fresh little filter on there, all pumped out. I think that'll do for a minute. We've got I'll get my little stick in there, make all these leaves stand up where they should be. Right then, guys, we're back. We've got the base on now. These bases actually come with them. It looks like half a bucket. They distress them a bit, so it makes it look a bit old and all that sort of stuff. The tap's on there. The background's nicely gone off now. Got a little plant on the top. You can see where all the cables and pipes come through. I've got a little regulator there to regulate the airflow on there. And we've got the tap there. And what I was thinking there, you got that funky little spider plant up there in his little bowl. You can see the ventilation holes there all the way around, so it can come out. All the heat and the stale air and everything can get out, and fresh air can get in through the top. We've got that there, so if you want to water the plant, you can either take the plant off the top and put him under there, okay, and then once you're doing your filter you can feed the plant with the waste from the tank, or just to show you, because I need two hands, I'll put that jug under there, lift that up, look, and there you go. Out comes your tank water. And then you can either water that on your plant, you can put that into your plants, or you can just throw it down a toilet if you like. Right, what we'll do is now we'll come around this way so we can see the front with it up on its stand. You've seen the plant now up on the top, so you know that's there. It's just awkward for me to get the height on there as well. We put some little endlers in there. Don't know if you can see them swimming around the bottom. Got some little endler fry which we've been bringing on in the shrimp room. But now we'll turn the light off. And we'll turn this light on. And there you go. That doesn't look too bad at all, that does it? Not bad at all. We got Mark's Aquatics there, which I carved on that coconut with my little Dremel. That was quite a while back now. But you can see all the little endlers now. We'll go up and have a look. I'll just take you out of this tripod, sorry. And then we can go in. There you go, that's not bad at all. Quite a nice little tank that is, made out of one of those. Either my mate's going to be happy with it, or my daughter's going to be happy with that, one or the other. But we got the heater in there, that's up to temperature. We got cycled filter in there, cycled media, all the coconut and the plants is all out of another tank. And those endler fryers very small, so as with the other tank, we'll do daily water changes on that for a couple of weeks. And I've done these sort of things before and we never get any ammonia spikes or anything doing things this way. But if you haven't cycled it, make sure you cycle it first or you'll kill your fish in no time at all, okay? And it's not a nice way to go for them. Well, there you go guys, another build from Mark's Aquatics. It's an 8-litre jar and we've got the coconut hide in there. We put some baby endlers in there and all the lights rigged up now, everything's running. I say it looks like a lava lamp with that base in the top, but it's Mark's Lava Aquarium. But that's really, I'm really happy with that. I think that looks quite funky. That'll look quite good in anyone's living room, I think, or in a bedroom. They say it bubbles a little bit, but you can turn the bubbles right down in the evening and you can open it up a little bit in the daytime if you like to keep the noise down. It's very, I mean, it depends what kind of sleep you are really, but that'd be awesome in a kid's bedroom as well. Easy to make with your kids. And like I said before, with the lighting, if you haven't got one of those lights that I've got there, which I destroyed and then put back together again in the lid, you can always go on eBay and buy yourself a couple of little LEDs, different spectrums. They're just white and blue in that. But you can buy different colour spectrums, the reds, blues, greens, all kinds of different colours, and make your own lighting up. That's always something to do as well. You can make and create your own type of lighting for it. And like I just showed you before, you can put your plant on the top there. That's optional, it's up to you. I thought it looked quite cool up there, like a little palm tree. And the waste that comes out of there can look after your little plant and make sure he grows well. And he just make sure he doesn't go over those holes with the tray. Make sure you leave those breather holes open all the time so your little system can breathe. Anyway guys, I hope you liked that little video. Hope it wasn't too drawn out for you. Hope it was some help. Hope you're going to have a go at it and build it. Very cheap to make, effective little things, and you can put all sorts of little creatures in there. Like I say, you could put, if you had it just fresh water, you could have crabs in there, you could have, oh, you name it, it's endless. It's up to you, exactly, you know, it's up to your imagination really. Anyway guys, I love you all, you're all stars. If you like my videos, please like, share and subscribe, and I will see you all on the next video. Take care, bye for now.
Just me and my guitar.